Welcome to the MCU, by the way. You're joining at a bit of a low point.
Well, we've reached the end of Phase 5 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the franchise is still no closer to getting back on track. We're in the last leg of the multiverse saga, and compared to the airtight, razor-focused Infinity Saga, this whole interdimensional experiment has been a mess from top to bottom. But hidden in that mess were some real gems. Phase 5 was a roller coaster of highs and lows. Aside from a couple of middling, forgettable efforts, almost every project in Phase 5 either felt like rock bottom or a triumphant return to form. This phase exemplified the MCU at its absolute best, like when it bid an emotional farewell to the Guardians of the Galaxy, or when it made Loki the god of stories, or when it finally put Hugh Jackman in yellow spandex.
That only took 20 fucking years.
And it exemplified the MCU at its absolute worst, like when it reduced the worldwide threat of a Skrull invasion to a naff espionage drama, or when it had Kang the Conqueror nerfed by an army of ants in his big screen debut. So, without further ado, let's get to work ranking this phase of the MCU, from the lows of Secret Invasion and Quantumania to the highs of Thunderbolts and Agatha All Along.
One last fight.
Secret Invasion isn't just the worst Marvel release of Phase 5, it is the absolute worst thing the MCU has ever shat out, and it's one of the worst TV shows I've ever had the misfortune to sit through. The Secret Invasion storyline should have been a mega-scale Avengers movie that drastically changed the dynamic of the entire MCU, not a throwaway Disney Plus series with C-list characters. In theory, a grounded spy series digging deeper into Nick Fury's character and co-starring Olivia Colman no less should have been a great little show, and Samuel L. Jackson does bring his all and give a fantastic performance in the lead role. But the storytelling is just so boring, and in the finale it completely abandons its darker, more mature tone for a really silly superhero showdown.
So, what's it gonna be? Ant-Man.
Quantumania was the first entry in Phase 5, and the first sign that the problems of Phase 4 would carry over into Phase 5. A film set entirely in the quantum realm, a liminal world between worlds outside the space-time continuum, should be a feast for the eyes. It should be a buffet of eye-popping, mind-bending sci-fi imagery. But Ant-Man 3's visual style is really ugly, and the film's incessant use of the volume means this sprawling, limitless realm feels weirdly confined. I didn't hate the MODOK CGI as much as some people. That was always going to be a tough character to do in live action, and I found him quite funny for the most part. But it was a bad idea to introduce the next Thanos-level big bad and have him easily defeated by Ant-Man. This version of Kang claims he's killed a bunch of Avengers, but I just don't buy it. He lost a fist fight to Ant-Man. You're seriously telling me this guy murdered Thor? Jonathan Majors is great, as an actor, not as a person. But the film he's in is not. It's trying to be two movies at once. It sets itself up as an uncharacteristically dark Ant-Man movie with real life or death stakes and a villain who could actually kill someone, but it also wants to be a goofy, light-hearted, inner space sci-fi adventure, and it can't be both at once. The latter wins out, and what should have been a momentous step forward in this new saga just came off as a bit of inconsequential fluff. It's an entertaining enough movie, but it got this phase off to a very worrying start.
You want me? Come and get me!
Brave New World, same old shit. Captain America 4 isn't a particularly bad film, but it is an aggressively mediocre one. It has no distinctive personality, its plot is a hodgepodge of endless reshoots and rewrites, and the one good surprise in the movie was plastered all over the trailers and posters. You can't just take two Hulk villains and cram them into a Captain America film. The things that make Red Hulk and the leader dramatically interesting are the ways they contrast with Bruce Banner. You wouldn't make a Superman film where the Joker is the villain. Brave New World is the very definition of a safe, formulaic, middle-of-the-road, cookie cookie-cutter comic book movie that doesn't want to ruffle any feathers and falls apart if you apply even the slightest bit of scrutiny.
Follow me and ponder the question, what if?
The second and third seasons of What If continue the biggest problem from season 1. It defeats the purpose of telling crazy, out there, non-canonical stories if you make them all part of the MCU multiverse and tie them into the canon. The whole point of the What If comic is to do wild things outside the constraints of the canon with no rules or consequences. If you want to make Spider-Man a murderer, you can make Spider-Man a murderer. If you want to make Aunt May the Herald of Galactus, you can make Aunt May the Herald of Galactus. You put the training wheels back on if you make it canonical and turn What If into What Is. It also has the biggest problem with anthology shows in general. It's very hit and miss. It has some great episodes, but it also has some truly terrible episodes. And it has plenty of mediocre, forgettable episodes. And for a show that's supposed to be a sprawling anthology showing the perspective of a wide variety of interdimensional heroes, it's weird that it has a main character. Most of the time, it feels like the Captain Carter show. She's a cool character, but there are plenty of other cool characters in the MCU.
Who's the monster?
I really appreciated the darker, more mature tone of Echo. Alaqua Cox gave a really nuanced, understated performance in the lead role, where she conveyed a lot while doing very little. And I loved seeing Vincent D'Onofrio play Wilson Fisk as a dysfunctional father figure to Maya Lopez. Echo had great action choreography with unique sound design reflecting Maya's deafness and how it affects the way she fights. The show worked really well as a grounded crime drama about the Kingpin's surrogate daughter rising up to seize his throne. And I thought the exploration of Maya's Native American roots and her inherited superpowers were very interesting and great cultural representation. But the spiritual storyline didn't quite mesh with the street-level New York City gang war storyline. The series probably should have focused on one or the other.
If you ever need another butt kicking, just look for your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
I ended up really enjoying Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. It got off to kind of a rough start with a lot of awkward dialogue and teen drama cliches, and it takes a long time for Spidey to become Spidey. I was initially disappointed when they pivoted from making this Tom Holland's origin story to setting it in an alternate universe, but that ended up being the show's biggest strength. Rather than retelling the same origin story we've seen a million times, it made a few key changes that made it feel fresh and exciting and unpredictable. Just the minor change of having Norman Osborn as Peter's mentor instead of Uncle Ben or Tony Stark, and tweaking the familiar catchphrase to "with great power comes great respect," made a world of difference. It sent Peter down a darker path, and I can't wait to see where that darker path goes in Season 2. I really liked what Nia DaCosta did with the Marvels. The breezy pacing was refreshing, although it meant that some of the film's more interesting ideas, like Carol's guilt and Monica's grief, got brushed over. The villain is massively undercooked, and the third act gets a bit messy as this self-contained space adventure suddenly becomes a multiverse story. But I'm happy to overlook all that stuff, because this movie is a really fun ride. I loved the chemistry between the three leads, and there were some really inventive set pieces, like a musical planet and a ship full of alien cats on the loose. I watched the Marvels 3 times in cinemas, just for Iman Vellani and Samuel L. Jackson's delightful performances. Ironheart had so much style and personality right out of the gate. It was like the first 2 episodes of Miss Marvel, except Ironheart maintained it for the whole run. Most of these Disney Plus shows lose me somewhere in the middle, and by the end I don't care anymore. But Ironheart kept my attention and my emotional attachment right up until the final episode. I don't usually rate Anthony Ramos as an actor, but he was great as the villain here. And Dominique Thorne is charming as hell as Riri Williams. I was thrilled that the MCU brought back Daredevil in this phase, but Born Again is very noticeably stitched together from 2 very different shows. It was initially developed and partially shot as a complete reboot, a light-hearted, case-of-the-week legal procedural with a whole new cast of supporting characters. But then it got overhauled and reshot to feel more like a direct continuation of the Netflix series, with a dark, gritty tone, serialized storytelling, ultra-violent action scenes, and familiar faces like Foggy and Karen and Frank Castle. The result is kind of a Frankenstein's monster, but I still really enjoyed it. I loved seeing Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio and John Bernthal back in their roles, and I loved standalone episodes like the St. Patrick's Day bank heist episode.
Always have been. Always will be.
The second season of Loki did a lot of wheel spinning throughout its run. It had some fun time-traveling adventures and incredible spaghettification effects, but it often had me wondering where it was going. And then when the finale came along and I saw where it was going, I wanted to take back every bad thing I said about it. That was one of the most visually stunning, emotionally resonant narrative conclusions Marvel has ever had to offer. Seeing Loki say goodbye to all the friends he never thought he'd have, and willingly fulfilling his worst fear of ending up alone to single-handedly ensure the safety of the multiverse, all with the striking visual of a literal god wrangling a tree of universes, was so touching, poetic, and ballsy that Loki Season 2 earned a high spot on this list from that ending alone.
Let's fucking go!
Let's fucking go.
Deadpool and Wolverine was the best communal theatrical experience of this phase. Whether you watched it with a pack of rabid Marvel fans or a collection of casual moviegoers just looking for an entertaining action comedy, Deadpool 3 was a genuine crowd pleaser. It has a steady stream of solid gags punctuated by thrilling action sequences and a boatload of clever Easter eggs. It's not the most substantial movie ever made, but it has just enough of a story to hold it all together. Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman's effortless on-screen chemistry carries this meta-mutant multiversal reimagining of a buddy actioner like Rush Hour or Midnight Run. I hope we haven't seen the last of this mismatched superhero odd couple.
Time to finish the road. Last one there is a nice person.
Follow me, my friend, to glory at the end.
Much like with Andor and Peacemaker, when an Agatha Harkness series was first announced, the most common response was, who asked for this? But in the hands of a visionary showrunner with a deep understanding of what makes the character tick and what makes their world so compelling, Agatha All Along ended up being maybe the best TV show the MCU has dropped so far. It takes a little while to get going in its first couple of episodes, but once the coven set off on the Witch's Road, it's a delightful watch. Catherine Hahn slays as always in the spotlight, and Aubrey Plaza has a ton of fun hamming it up to play Lady Death. But Joe Locke is the standout. He's absolutely wonderful in this show as Wiccan. I loved the show's dark humor, I loved the homages to different horror subgenres, and I thought it was a smart choice to split the finale into 2 episodes. Usually these Disney Marvel shows build to a big formulaic showdown in the finale, then wrap everything up very quickly in time for the credits. But Agatha All Along focuses on the climactic battle in its second to last episode, then spends the whole finale resolving the character arcs and completing the story in a satisfying way. Oh, and Ballad of the Witch's Road is a fucking banger.
As we go down, down, down the road, down the witch's road. Down, down, down the road, down the witch's road. Down the witch's road. Down, down, down the road, down the witch's road.
If you told me a year ago that Marvel was making a movie about mental health, I would have expected a shallow, superficial effort that completely misunderstands how mental illness works and only pays lip service to that theme so it doesn't stray too far from the punchy, jokey formula. But I would have been wrong, because Thunderbolts is a poignant, hard-hitting portrayal of trauma, depression, and even suicidal ideation, with an emphasis on the importance of reaching out to people to help you deal with those things. Who the hell would have thought a Phase 5 Marvel film could function as a breakthrough therapy session? The vault sequence is really long and drags a bit on a rewatch. Apparently the original script had the entire movie set in the vault, based on a pitch by the CEO's idiot son, so we dodged a bullet there. But on the whole, this is one of the MCU's most emotionally engaging and visually stunning movies ever. Director Jake Schreier came in with a clear, distinctive vision of what he wanted to do with these characters and this story, and he actually saw it through without compromising any of the darkness or emotionality of that vision. Throw Florence Pugh in there to capture those dark emotions with heart-wrenching authenticity, and you've got a recipe for a great movie.
To me, my X-Men.
Technically, X-Men 97 isn't a part of Phase 5, because it's technically not a part of the MCU at all. But it was released by Marvel Studios in the Phase 5 window, and it was fucking fantastic, so I'm including it. X-Men 97 recaptures what made the original cartoon so great. It's basically a mutant soap opera. It focuses just as much on the X-Men's interpersonal conflicts as their conflicts with supervillains and apocalyptic threats. It's the perfect balance of comic book spectacle and grounded emotional drama. It's gorgeously animated, powerfully voice acted, and thematically rich. Before heading off to run DC Studios, James Gunn delivered one last winner for Marvel. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is a dazzling sci-fi spectacle, a rallying cry for animal rights, and a fitting farewell to a bunch of characters who have come to feel like family. The Guardians threequel manages to pull off the tonal trickery that Quantumania tried and failed to achieve. It's a fun-filled comic book adventure just like its predecessors, but it also dares to go to much darker, heavier places than the previous films did. And it works. It breaks your heart so it can mend it again in a glorious climactic catharsis. I couldn't imagine a more perfect send-off for the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's the perfect blend of heart, humor, and spectacle, and it leaves all these beloved characters in a good place. Guardians 3 isn't just a great movie by the low standards of Phase 5. It would be a great movie if it was released at the pinnacle of the MCU in the Infinity War Endgame era. It's that good.
There's a button under the handle. Press that in.
Okay. Now what?
Open the fucking door.
So there you have my ranking of every film and TV show from the MCU's Phase 5. What did you think was the best Marvel release of Phase 5? What did you think was the worst? Let me know in the comments below, or on the side if you're watching on a TV. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you liked the video. Remember to like and subscribe and click on the little bell. And also seize the day and call your mom and be kind to yourself.